Hey y'all, Roxy here. I hope your weekend's going well. Today is Saturday, the 30th of September 2023. How's everyone doing? I'm shooting this at night, so I don't have natural lighting. I'm trying to see if my interior lighting works. I don't have additional studio lighting. I'm just using my normal room light. So let me know how it turns out. Very quickly, I was having a conversation with someone younger today about looking for a job. The person's just coming to the UK, didn't have a job in Nigeria, just came into the UK and is trying to get a job as well. Um, his self confidence has taken a hit because he's not getting callbacks. First of all, in this environment, you don't get callbacks for every job, so don't expect that the first CV you send out, you're gonna get a callback, especially if it's for like a desk job, right? So there are the other kinds of work, you know what I mean? The care jobs, the more manual work, those you can come across because you don't need a CV for those ones, right? You can sort of get them on Indeed Flex. There's something called Indeed Flex where you can go on and get these jobs. There are multiple job websites out there, but that's the one I know many employers use. And most of the people that I know who've gotten jobs have been very successful on that platform. That's why I'm recommending them. So if you're in the UK, for instance, and you're looking for shift-based work where you can earn per hour, flexible, you know what I mean, etc., etc. Because it's per hour, you can choose the shift that works for you. You can choose the hours that work for you. You can work long hours, short hours, combined, etc. So indeed flex. But for CV based work, Indeed is also quite a good platform. But that's really not what I'm here to talk about today. It is to say, I wanted to title this video at first how to get, how to present your CV or how to get a job or 5 things to do to get a job. But I realized that no matter how well you do these things or no matter how perfect your experience is, your CV is, there's a place for opportunity and luck, and you know what I mean. And so it's not. I'm not gonna name it. Almost like if you do these 5 things, you're gonna get a job. What I will rather do is just tell you the sort of things that every time I've been on a panel, um, interviewing people, the kind of things that resonate with panelists. You know what I mean? So if I'm the one employing, I'm on the panel employing people. What are the things that they do that resonate with me immediately? First of all, your CV, right? People always talk about how much or how little you should put in your CV. I don't know about that, right? I have used long form CVs as I am right now. I have two kinds of CVs. I have the long form CV and I have the short form CV. My short form CV is 1.5 pages long, at most 2 pages, because I have to add. I've had a 20-year work experience across five jobs, so you can expect that my CV is a little longer. For the long CV, where I'm applying for things that are big on experience, right? They are huge on how much work have you done in this area? How long have you worked in your life? What area? What was the scope of your experience? Where you, like in academia, for instance, where you need to prove to them that you have published work and you have gone to a million schools and you know what I mean? You know how to do this and that and the other. A long form CV, I find, for people who are willing, industries where people are willing to read them, actually seeking more information from you, that works. A short form CV is for everything else, right? So if someone wants, they're going to get 4,000 applications for a job. They just want to know if you're the fit for that job. They're looking for keywords in that instance, right? And I know I'm going pretty fast. You know, I always do a 5 minute video. So forgive me if you don't get it. Just click on Twitter. Let me know. I'll go over it again. I'll, answer specific questions. For the short form one, just think to yourself that the employer has 4,000 CVs and they have to sift from 4,000 CVs down to one. Many employers will use machines and AI to help them to do that. So the software will pick keywords, right? For short form CVs, I use keywords. If I'm applying for a legal administrator role, I make sure that the words legal administrator show up on that CV at least twice. If I'm applying for a solicitor role, I make sure the very word solicitor, shows up in my experience section. Does it make sense? As a lawyer, I've done everything, right? I'm a general counsel, so I've done maritime, I've done administration, I've done, you know what I mean? I've done probate, I've done commercial practice. So for me, it's easy to pick and choose which of the areas I want to highlight, right? So when I look at the job scope and I say, what is this person looking to fill? Can I do the job? Yes. Can I be a company secretary? Yes. But my CV today, the short form, usually has things like commercial practice, contracts, things like that, litigation. Nowhere will you find company secretarial practice, even though I did do that for a while, but that's not the core of my practice. So my advice to you is for short form CVs, check the job opening you're trying to apply for, and then check your CV and make sure that the keywords that are in the job opening reflect in your CV, so that if they run your CV through the software that picks out only CVs that have the words legal administrator, company secretary, probate, you know what I mean? The keywords, it will pick your CV at least. Now, if it picks your CV, then they then give a human being to then read it and shortlist and things like that. But at least you have one step in the door. That's my first advice. On the other hand, both CVs have the same things in them. In many countries, like in Nigeria, um, people put too much in their CVs, right? Because they feel like the more the employer knows them, the higher the chance of them calling you in. Because then they have less things to ask you. They know you upfront. So you want to put things like your date, your where you were born, your place of origin, your maiden name, your home address, your phone number, your blood group, all sorts of things go in there. In many developed countries like in the UK or in Europe, much of that information is not required. As a matter of fact, it's sometimes employers are sometimes not allowed to get that information from you. Doesn't make sense. Some employers specifically ask you not to give them that information. What they are trying to do, therefore, is to make sure that they are not accused of discriminating against you based on the information that you've given them. So things like marital status, it shouldn't matter to an employer whether or not you are married, because the role does not require you to be married. If I'm employing you to counsel married people, and as part of the experience I need you to be married, then I'll state that, right? And I will explain why I need that information. But other than that, if I get information that I don't need, then anyone can turn around tomorrow and say, well, you didn't give me that job because I indicated that I had kids, or you didn't give me that job because you knew I was black, because I indicated that I was black. So they say things like, don't tell us where you're from. Go to the basics. What's your name? How can we reach you? What experience do you have in relation to the role that you're applying for? And of course, experience comes with educational background and the jobs you've done, the scope of the roles you've held in those jobs. So don't just say I was chief technical officer. Okay, but what kind of job did that role do? Because we want to see that you have the right experience to do this kind of job they're offering you to do now. And in some cases, after that, put awards. Obviously, if you want awards, put awards in there. Things, books you published, including your thesis, what area you published on, your qualifications. Usually, that's where it should end. For many people who, like myself, have longer careers, we can put things like professional affiliations, which means if you belong to the Nigerian Bar Association, if you belong to the Chartered Institutes of Directors, things like that. It's good to put it in there. Be careful though, if you have a longer career and you're a more senior person, not to intimidate. Even though this is an arguable point. Some people say don't put so much as to intimidate the company trying to hire you, because sometimes as a more middle management senior person, they might think that if you have all these affiliations and all these degrees, the next question is, can we afford you? And can we make you an offer without seeming like we're insulting your intelligence because of all these things, the status you've told us you are? On the other hand, other people say, well, tell them who you are. Don't belittle yourself. Don't diminish your accomplishments. And any company that cannot stand that the fact that you're successful and you're accomplished doesn't deserve you. I mean, I think that's easy to say, right? On the dignity point. But when you're hungry and you have no job for a long time, you can quite understand why it's also good advice not to intimidate your future employers. Doesn't make sense. So I don't know where I fall. I just put whatever I have out there. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna remove anything. I just put it out there and hope that I don't get to intimidate anyone. Um so yeah, those were just the points I was trying to raise. These are the kind of things I discussed with him today. I said to him, check the role that you're applying for, tailor your CV to that role, try to write a cover letter whenever they ask you to write a cover letter. I think the employers have realized that everyone has a blank CV they just send around to 200 jobs. I'm probably one of those 200 jobs, right? So when I ask for a cover letter, it's because I want to know that you saw the job, you saw the role, you understood what I require from you, and you took the time to address me in particular. So you can attach a generic CV to your application, but the cover letter is directed to me, right? Because you will have to write my name on it. You have to describe the role you've seen, what you think it means, and what you think I require from you, and then how you will provide that service if I employ you, if that makes sense. So don't ignore cover letters. They actually, there's a reason why most companies ask for them. Um, so yeah, that's the advice I would give you. In terms of interviews, when you're called for the interview, the way I do it, and and many people have different ways to cope with interview pressure. The first thing to do when I get an interview call is to just look for the company online. It's very simple. Don't memorize anything. Some people say go and check their last year's statement of account, audited accounts, check how much they made, check the blah blah blah, blah projects they worked on. It's all very good. At later stages in your interview, when you're meeting the CEO or whatever, it's a good talking point, right? To bring up the fact that I do know your company well, I'm interested in what you're doing, especially for smaller businesses who always sort of feel that you don't take them seriously because they're not as big as the multinationals. So it's always a nice touch to show them that, look, I did check you out and I researched a bit on you and I'm interested in the areas that you're working on. You know what I mean? Good talking point. But from my experience in all the interviews I've ever been to, many companies don't feel the need to get you to praise them, and many of them actually don't like it, right? They don't want to seem like you have to kiss our ass, excuse my language, before we give you a job. You know what I mean? So you have to prove to me that you know me well enough and you'll be following me, and blah blah blah, you're a fan before. No, that's not what we need. We need someone who can do the job, right? And we're a very serious company. So whether you know us before now or not, we will teach you about us. You will get to know us. You will find out about us as you go along. It shouldn't be a deal breaker, if that makes any sense. But yes, do Google the company. It helps you to know whether the company is somewhere you really want to work in. It gives you just a snapshot of who they are, what they stand for. One of the things that stand out to me for a company that takes themselves very seriously is their value statement. I find that many companies, especially local small business companies, don't put a value statement. The most they will put is a mission and vision statement. This is where we are going to, and this is what we're trying to achieve. But who are you as a company? What drives you? What are the principles that you live by? Many small businesses don't care, right? And that's because they really don't have those principles. The person who owns the business is the CEO, the founder, the chairman. He woke up from a dream one day, set up the business, and he wants to control it the way he wants to control it. He doesn't want anyone's expertise to interrupt him. He wants to be right all the time. He wants to get results any which way he can get them. So values are not really the thing he's thinking about. He's just thinking about winning in the first place, and winning is all he really wants. Be careful, which is also why when I don't see a value statement in the website for a company, I take two steps back and I say, I go and then look at the people, right? Their caliber, the status, who they were, where they worked before, how they got where they got to. Usually gives you an insight as to who you're going to be working with and whether it's kind of people you want to affiliate yourself with. If you're someone like me who principles matter a lot to, right? I don't ever want to work with people who don't share my values, who will then push me to do things that I would not ordinarily do, and I don't want to do. It means that somewhere down the line, sooner or later, we will have a clash of interests. I will say no to many things they want me to do to move their business forward. And all of that would have been avoided if I had paid attention to the flag, the red flag that a lack of value statement was pointing to me. All in all, in the interview stage, when you walk in there, whether it's interview virtually or physically, confidence sells all the time. When people walk into a room and they walk into the room and look us in the eye like they are our counterparts, right? They're not subordinate, they're not shy, they're not looking down, they don't look scared, they're not nervous. Yes, we'll tell you, calm down, don't be too nervous. You know what I mean? Sometimes it shows you when you're not trying to because you are nervous. But if you can, what we want to see, what I'm asking myself when I'm on panels is, if I'm not there, can this person represent the company properly? If something happens and I did not have a minute to rush to the place, or I was out and you know what I mean, and you need to take a decision, can I present you as the face of the company? Do you have the grit? Does it make sense? Will you be this shy? You know what I mean? So let's say the government authorities come one day to the office and they're trying to make trouble. Can you stand and be confident and act like you have the authority of the company to actually engage them? because I'm not there. Those are kind of confidence things that I'm looking for. So the way I get my confidence at interviews is to imagine that nobody in that room knows what I know. And actually, in my head, I justify it by saying that until the thing leaves my mouth, you can't tell what's in my brain. So to that extent, you really don't know what I'm about to say. You don't know what I know. And whether I'm right or wrong when I say it, it's my point of view. And you invited me because you thought I was an expert in something, and I'm here trying to prove to you what I believe I know about that thing. Whether or not I get the job, whether or not I was correct, it's my point of view. And that's all I can promise you all the time. Is that whether I get the job or not, whether in an interview or the real life, I will always give you a point of view, right? I will be quick to make decisions and I will stand by the decisions. It will be driven by research and information, but I'm never going to be afraid to give you an answer on the spot. And we all know it's an interview. I didn't have the time to go research or look at it. I will tell you, subject to research, subject to getting more information, this is what I would do. This is what I understand your question to be, and this is what my answer is because of that understanding. Now, whenever you qualify your answers like that, it gives the interviewer an opportunity to say, no, that's not what I'm asking you. This is what I'm asking you. And don't waste their time. And this is my final point. Please don't waste their time. If you don't have an answer, spare us the trauma early on. If I ask you a question and you do not have the answer, and you know in your heart that no matter how much you think about this, you do not just have the answer, just tell me up front. It saves us time and it allows other people ask their questions as well. It might even move you to a topic that you can actually answer. But if you waste the time making me go back and forth, reinterpreting the question for you, re-asking it 10 times, telling you that you must have understood me, repeating myself, trying to get you to an answer that you know you're never going to get to, then you frustrate me, you waste the time of my colleagues on the panel, and you're already leaving a bad impression. That you're somebody that doesn't take responsibility and you don't own up to mistakes and you don't want to say you don't know when you don't know. That's never a good thing. So many people growing up in Nigeria always feel like when you go for interviews, you know all the answers, and they come out and say, "Oh my God, I missed the question, so I'm dead. They won't call me back." And then they're surprised that they get called back. You're called back because even when you didn't know it, you did not. It didn't break you, right? You were quick to say, "This is the extent of my knowledge right now. I can't find the answers for you if I had more time, but sitting here right now, I'm sorry. It just, my head is in a lot of places. I really can't find the answer right now." But never stop there. Just never say, "I don't know the answer, so go away." I don't know the answer to that question, so don't repeat it. But it's what I would do in a general scenario, in a generic, minus your question, this is what I would have done. These are the steps I think anyone in this situation should take. A point of view. It's not correct. You're not answering the question, but you're not leaving them empty-handed. I feel like those are the kind of things that over the years, and I have had five jobs. Not too proud of all of them, but yeah. I think I do have one or two things I have learned from the process, all the way from applying for jobs to the CVs to the interviews. And I thought, you know what, instead of just sharing trending topics and what I think about everything on earth, it might help someone out there who's packing up, who's in the UK, who's moving, who's in Nigeria, who's just leaving school, who's trying to change jobs middle of their careers and is struggling with self-confidence and getting back in the job pool. These are my thoughts. I'm welcome to hear your thoughts as well. Like I said, everyone's views are welcome. Your experience might help someone. Let's take the conversation forward as usual on Twitter, ROQZEE. I'm always happy to engage everyone. Thank you so much for your support for the last video and for the videos before that. I'm still trying to get my equipment, so don't flail me for this video. But yeah, let's have a conversation, and I will see you hopefully next week with my equipment or before then. Thank you so much. Cheers, y'all. Enjoy your weekend. See you next time. Bye-bye.